Mega Pyroar's new ability Fire Main makes it one of the hardest hitting Pokemon in all of Pokemon Champions. 50% more damage on all of its fire type moves on the heels of a base 126 speed stat means that very few Pokemon are outspeeding it, and even fewer Pokemon are standing up to its fiery attacks. I used my new tool PKData to figure out exactly how much damage Mega Pyroar can do into the current format, the best spreads to run on it, and which partners help cover for the few Pokemon that Mega Pyroar can't incinerate on its own. I'm Zane, aka Direwolf. Let's dive in. When Pyroar Mega evolves, it gets a 20-point bump to all of its base stats. And when it was first revealed, that was pretty lackluster and not really worth your Mega Evolution. When you're competing against a Mega Evolution like Mega Charizard Y as your team's special fire type attacker, Mega Pyroar's base 129 special attack stat doesn't hold a candle to Mega Charizard Y's base 159. Not to mention, Mega Charizard Y gets to set the sun, so when it's using fire type attacks in the sun, that base 159 special attack stat looks more like a base 231. But this is where things get a little interesting for Mega Pyroar. Weather Wars are a staple of Regulation MA, and they're bleeding over into the Regulation MB format. So if you're playing against the team that can take away Mega Charizard Y's sun, such as a Mega Frostlass, Mega Tyranitar, or even a Pelipper, Charizard is back to just firing with its base 159 special attack stat. And don't get me wrong, that's still a crazy high special attack stat, but it's about to get dwarfed by the numbers to come. Mega Pyroar's Fire Main gives it a self-contained boost to all of its fire type attacks. So even in snow or sand, when Mega Pyroar is using its fire type attacks, it's essentially leveraging a base 191 special attack stat. That's just 3 shy of Mega Mewtwo Y for those of you scoring at home. But unlike Mega Meganium, whose new Mega Soul ability doesn't stack with weather, Mega Pyroar's does. And Mega Charizard Y isn't the only Pokemon that's capable of setting the sun in Pokemon Champions. If we pair Pyroar with Torkoal or Ninetales, and give its fire boosted attacks a sun boost of its own, that base 129 special attack is suddenly vaulted all the way up to 312. Not to be outdone, a lot of the Charizard Y teams are starting to run Farigiraf with Helping Hand. And in the sun, with a Helping Hand, Charizard Y leapfrogs Mega Pyroar with an effective base 373 special attack stat. But Torkoal and Ninetales both get access to Helping Hand. So we can mirror this Charizard strategy and let our Mega Pyroar deal Sun boosted, Helping Hand boosted, Fire Main boosted fire type attacks of its own. And if we stack all of that together, Mega Pyroar is now firing its fire type attacks off of a base 494 base special attack. Now that is a base stat worthy of a Mega Evolution, and it's exactly how I'm going to be building my Mega Pyroar team, by stacking as many damage modifiers onto this lion as possible and making it so that even resisted hits are doing well over 50% to your opponent's team. Now, let's jump into the tool PKData and see exactly what the data are telling us about the best Mega Pyroar teams in Pokemon Champions. And the first thing that you are going to notice is that Pyroar and Mega Pyroar have the same win rate and usage rate. This is just a known bug when you're using replay data because you don't have access to the full team sheet. So Megas and their base forms are going to show the exact same win rate. And that's something that I'm working on in a future update. But we're going to select Mega Pyroar and add it to the team. And we see that it's been used on 260 different teams and a 54.1% win rate, which is 4% higher than the base average of 50%. So we can scroll down and we can see what teams people are starting to use with it. And we can filter by total number of games, total number of teams, or a combined win rate. And so if we look at the combined win rate, we're going to see Venusaur, Sneasler, Aerodactyl, Kingambit, Garchomp, some pretty normal Regulation MA staples. But we'll also see Torkoal. And that's the Pokemon that I want to build around because Mega Pyroar's Fire Main plus the Sun plus a Helping Hand is able to pick up some crazy knockouts. So we want to build specifically around Torkoal and Mega Pyroar. And so if we scroll back up, we're going to see that Mega Pyroar and Torkoal are loaded to the team with a base win rate now of 64.8%. Scrolling down, we can see the other members of the teams that were using Mega Pyroar as well as Torkoal. And I think Farigiraf is a really great partner with the priority blocking for a really fast Mega Pyroar, as well as the ability to set up Trick Room for a really slow Torkoal. And one of the best tools for a Trick Room team to have is a really fast sweeper to come in after Trick Room is expired and clean up the game from there. So Farigiraf enables Torkoal, Torkoal enables Pyroar, and Pyroar enables Farigiraf. So I do want to build around Farigiraf, Mega Pyroar, and Torkoal. And you'll see that we lost all of the rest of the teams. There are no more candidates that meet our minimum games of 20 and minimum teams of 2. Still very early format, so we can drop those down and we can start seeing what's showing up. So if we drop that down to 5 games, we'll see that we've got Meowscarada, Venusaur, Sylveon, Whimsicott, Mousehold, Sinistcha. So one of the things that I'm looking at just right here is that Sylveon plus Torkoal is really strong oppression with Eruption plus Hyper Voice under Trick Room. So let's add that. Okay, now somebody is out here running Meowscarada with 100% win rate on this team. And that's pretty crazy. But I think another thing that pairs well with Fergraph and Sylveon is probably like a Blastoise and Sinistcha, and then that gives us 2 modes with a Blastoise mode to cover for some of the Pokemon that are going to resist Mega Pyroar, as well as the Mega Pyroar Sun mode. But let's just see what else people are playing around with. Drop it down a little bit further. Okay, there is our Blastoise, Meowscarada, Mawile. And again, we're seeing these as base forms. These are very likely Mega variants. This is probably a Mega Mawile on Trick Room, Mega Blastoise. But because we don't have that full fidelity with the replays, you're kind of left to your imagination as to what these Pokemon are. But I think it would be really cool to build with a Blastoise, okay, and they were using Meowscarada, Blastoise, and Sinistcha. So there are no teams that have run this exact 6 before, but that's okay. We are going to send this to our EV optimizer. And then this is going to open up the team in an EV optimization format. It's going to auto-populate the movesets based off of usage, but given that these are still early format Pokemon, and this is brand new, this one doesn't have usage, but if we click over to Torkoal, it's going to show that typically runs Charcoal, Drought, Eruption, Protect, Heat Wave, Weather Ball. We're going to drop one of these in favor of Helping Hand, and we're probably going to drop Heat Wave. I think Weather Ball having the single target 100% accurate move is really strong. But before we start picking our EVs, we've got to know what moves we want to run. And so if we scroll back up and we go to our coverage optimizer, here we can start building our team with coverage in mind. So we're going to start with the Lion of the Hour, our Mega Pyroar. And if we scroll down, we've got a pre-populated list of moves that we can choose from, and as well as conditions that we can switch around. So we'll get to that in a second. But first, as Charizard taught us, Heat Wave in the sun is a really good move. So let's just start with that and let's see what happens. So if we go back up to the top of our coverage optimizer, we see that we have a 2-hit KO coverage into 43% of the meta, 9.4% one-shot into the meta, as well as 22% super effective coverage into the meta. And this is calculating all of the Pokemon within Pokemon Champions times their usage rate. So it's prioritizing knockout potential into Pokemon like Incineroar and Garchomp, while discounting knockouts into Pokemon like Watchog and Beedrill. But we are a Sun team. So let's see what happens if we switch our weather to Sun. And in the Sun, Mega Pyroar is now knocking out over half of the roster, half of the time, and a quarter of the roster in a single one-shot with its Heat Wave. But we can do more, and we can add Helping Hand. And if we add Helping Hand, suddenly we are 2-hitting 74% of the roster and one-shotting 46% of the roster. And just to really showcase how dangerous this move is, let's add the strongest fire type attack that it gets, Overheat. And if we add Overheat, we are now 2-hitting 96.7% of the roster and one-shotting 2/3 of all of the Pokemon in the game. And if we toggle over here to the 1-hit KO filter, show all, this is it. This is the list of Pokemon that will survive a Mega Pyroar, Overheat, Helping Hand in the sun. So if the rest of our team can have coverage into these Pokemon, some of the bulkier fire types, dragon types, water types, and rock types in the format, we're going to be really well positioned to just take KOs with Mega Pyroar. Flashing back to our 2-hit KO, we're going to see that this list is entirely bulky resists. So that is a Thick Fat Snorlax, Double Resist Mega Charizard X, Dragonites, Hisuian Arcanine, as well as, if you notice, 6 Pokemon that all have Flash Fire that take 0 damage from our Overheat. So we need to have an answer into these Pokemon in particular, these 12 that are going to resist the sheer power from Mega Pyroar. And if we have that, we've got a really good team composition. So our other main damage dealer that isn't going to do fire type damage on this team right now is Sylveon. And Sylveon normally runs Hyper Voice, normally runs a Fairy Feather, and that's already added. So between the two of these, we're picking up 2 hits into most of the meta. So just adding Sylveon dropped this number down to 9. So we're now picking up several more 2-hit KOs, and we're in a really strong position. If we say we're going to add Helping Hand here, that removes everything except Hisuian Arcanine and our 6 Flash Fire Pokemon and the bulkiest boy of them all, Thick Fat Snorlax. So I would say Mega Pyroar plus Sylveon on their own are going to do significant damage into most teams. But if you notice that your opponent is running one of these 7 Pokemon, great. This is when Blastoise is going to come into play. So if we clear this out, and now let's look at what Blastoise can do. So if we load in Blastoise, first move we're going to be running is Water Spout. And by itself, no conditions, no Shell Smash, no anything, Blastoise's Water Spout is 2-shotting 74% of the field and 1-shotting 25%. And notably, the Pokemon that are now resisting this are grass types and other water types. The very things that walled Mega Pyroar are going down immediately to Mega Blastoise. And for the water types that resist both of them, we have Sinistcha to either threaten super effective damage or just keep tanking attacks while one of our Megas just keeps stepping on the gas pedal. So I think this makes a really strong dual Mega core with really easy team preview lines. Does my opponent have one of these 7 Pokemon that walls Mega Pyroar? If yes, bring the Water Turtle. If no, bring the Fire Turtle and the Lion. And now, looking at our coverage options, do we want to run Dragon Pulse, Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, or any of these other moves? And we can filter it based on the 2-hit KOs, the 1-shots, or new super effective damage that we get. So it does look like we are getting more 2-hit KOs with Dragon Pulse, but we're getting more 1-hit KOs with Dark Pulse, as well as significantly more super effective coverage. And if we're going to run maybe a Shell Smash on this set, we can see what that looks like. And now Water Spout alone is picking up 97% of the Pokemon, and we're just missing Heliolisk with Dry Skin, Bulk and Toxicroak with Dry Skin, and bulkier grass and water types again. And so while Dragon Pulse may look like a good option, remember we have Sylveon on this team, so Ice Beam or Dark Pulse become the go-to moves. And actually, even though it doesn't get boosted by Mega Launcher, Ice Beam seems to be the strongest move going into the rest of the things that we're weak to. So we are just going to run an ability-less Blastoise here, and we're going to add Ice Beam. And now the only things that resist us are Milotic, Goodra, Vaporeon, and Slowking. I am very okay having negative matchups into those Pokemon. Okay, so going back to our EV optimizer, if we're gonna use our Mega Pyroar, we're gonna give it Heat Wave for sure, and then we can give it Overheat, but I don't think we need that significant damage. I'm okay with just running Flamethrower, and having a perfect accurate move, and Hyper Voice, and Protect. No item. And so what do we want this EV spread to do? Well, if we load threats here, we want to maybe be able to survive Sneasler's Close Combat, maybe a Basculegion, Aqua Jet, or Wave Crash in the Sun, Garchomp's Earthquake. And we don't just have to pick one of these, we can pick all of them. So we can tech for a Sneasler Close Combat, a Basculegion, a Garchomp, and then something on the special side, maybe a Milotic Scald. And so now that's been loaded into our survival constraints. We want to be able to survive Close Combat from Sneasler, and it's going to auto-populate whatever the most common spread is. So we'll run Jolly Sneasler. Basculegion's Aqua Jet, I'd rather look at what Wave Crash does, but specifically with our weather in the sun. Or Garchomp's Earthquake, and we want to check for doubles. So this would make it for singles and make it single target damage. Doubles, because we're playing VGC. Earthquake does spread damage, and so that does keep it a little bit reduced. And then Milotic Scald, we want to survive that in the sun, but we don't want to just survive one hit because Milotic doesn't do a whole lot of damage, and we don't have an Intimidate user to make its competitive do more. So we'll chain another hit. We want to be able to survive 2 Milotic Scalds in the sun. And let's just optimize and see what that does. So we need to be bold, lax, impish, or relaxed to be able to take any of those. And so let's look at what that is. And so it looks like the biggest threat to our Mega Pyroar is actually Sneasler's close combat. So if we're okay not being able to take a full attack Jolly Sneasler close combat, we can drop that and not run full bulk. So let's do that because we also have Farigiraf. So we know that our Farigiraf needs to be able to handle Sneasler. So we'll run the optimizer again. Great. Now we've got more options. We can be timid. We can be modest. We can do anything here. And we've got enough bulk basically just without teching anything to survive Garchomp's Earthquake, Basculegion's Wave Crash. One thing to note is that that was a Jolly Scarf Garchomp. What happens if we give it Life Orb? Run it again. We're still good. We only need 3 points in physical defense to be able to survive any of those attacks. We don't need any more bulk. And because we already know that Mega Pyroar is going to be one-shotting most things and two-shotting basically everything, we don't need more attack. So I can just come in here and set the nature to timid and just say this is going to be the fastest thing in the game. So if I scroll down, I can also add some KO constraints. So say Mega Staraptor is one of the most popular Pokemon in the game right now. And I want to be able to KO Mega Staraptor with a Flamethrower in the sun because I am going to outspeed it at base 110. We can optimize for that. And I just need 3 points of defense now for my survival and 7 points of special attack to pick up this KO. And that means we can go into the calc and dump everything else into special attack, speed, HP as needed. So if we go to speed, anywhere from 0 to 32 with our timid Mega Pyroar, this shows us what we would be outspeeding. And so if we can get to 190, we're outspeeding a really big step integer here. And so if we come over here, that 190 is a big jump. And we can scroll down and look at what that detailed table looks like. And we don't need to show all the rows. So if we can get to 190, we're outspeeding Jolly Sneasler. So we don't need to be worried about surviving those Sneasler close combats if we can just outspeed and knock it out. Same thing with Mega Frostlass. We can potentially, if we get to 195, that speed ties Basculegion that's adamant. But I'm okay only getting up to 190. We don't need to outspeed Basculegion or Talonflame, and there's nothing with significant usage outside of that. So if we just stop, go back to our calc, and we stop at 190. So this is 195, bring it down by 5. Our speed is now 190. We have the most special attack. We only needed 3 defense to survive the Basculegion Wave Crash in the sun, as well as Garchomp's Earthquake. And we can just dump the rest into attack, or into HP. And that is our Mega Pyroar with Heat Wave, Flamethrower, Hyper Voice, and Protect. And we can add Protect as a move here and add it to our team slot. And we've got a little, and you can see up here, we've got a little check mark showing that it's been added. And so if we click Export Team, this is now a pastable showdown format. And at the end of this process, you can click copy and you can import it directly into Showdown. So I'm going to keep going for the rest of the Pokemon and I'll show you the paste when I'm done. Okay, now that I finished working through all 6 Pokemon, we've got the Showdown paste here ready to go. And so we've got a Mega Pyroar that can outspeed Sneasler and Mega Frostlass, survive Garchomp Earthquakes, Basculegion Wave Crashes in the sun, survives 2 hits from Milotic's Scald in the sun, and can one-shot Mega Staraptor with Flamethrower in the sun. Torkoal survives Garchomp's Earthquake plus a Dragon Claw. It can survive Mega Tyranitar's Rock Slide, as well as Basculegion's Wave Crash in the sun. Farigiraf can OHKO Sneaslers with its Twin Beam, survives +1 max attacks Mega Staraptor's Close Combat, survives a Mega Blastoise Dark Pulse, and can survive Kingambit's Black Glasses Kowtow Cleave. Sylveon can KO Garchomp with Hyper Voice, survive Sneasler Dire Claw, Garchomp's Poison Jab, or a modest Archaludon's Flash Cannon. Blastoise is spec'd to just do maximum damage and outspeed Scarf Typhlosion after a Shell Smash. And Sinistcha is able to survive Pelipper's Hurricane as well as Kingambit's Kowtow Cleave. And it says Citrus Berry on screen, but because we already have Citrus Berry on Farigiraf, we'll give it the Kasib Berry so that it can also survive a Last Respects from Basculete Legion. Now that the team's complete, I'm going to put a Pokepaste as well as a team rental code linked in the description down below so that you can start laddering with this on your choice of either Showdown or within Pokemon Champions. And I do want to give credit where credit is due. This project would not be possible without the open source data from the Smogging community, as well as the tournament data from both Limitless and Arcanine. And honestly, I wouldn't have even tried to make this publicly available if it weren't for the overwhelming support from my last video. So thank you. Seriously, that was so cool. PKData is free to use and always will be. But running a data pipeline this heavy does come with some pretty intense server costs. So if you find it valuable and you want to help me keep it alive for the community, there's a buy me a coffee link at the top of the page. No pressure, just letting you know it's there. And if you want to know how this project came to be, you can check out the video that started it all here, or check out this video that YouTube thinks you'll like. Either way, I'll see you there.